Boker Tov, today's daf is daf Kuf Yud Beis in Baba Basra. Let's quickly review where we're up to. We have learned the last couple of days that not only does a son inherit from his father, and so does a daughter if there's no sons, but also they inherit from their mother. They inherit from their mother if there's no husband. Remember, a husband, as we learned yesterday, inherits his wife. If she dies, he inherits his wife. Let's say there's no husband, then it can go to the son or the daughter. And we said the predominant opinion is not like that sons and daughters share equally in the mother's estate, but rather the son takes precedence just like he does for his father. Okay, so we say that a daughter and a son inherit from the mother. How do we know that? How do we know that? So the pasuk says in Bamidbar, it says, Kol bas yorashas, the top line of yesterday's daf. Kol bas yorashas nach matos bnei Yisrael, a daughter who inherits from the tribes of Bnei Yisrael. She should marry somebody in her own tribe, but she's inheriting from two tribes. How does she inherit from two tribes? Because she inherits both from her father and her mother, who had different tribes. Well, that's the same simple case. Her father was from Shevet Reuben, and the mother was from Shevet Shimon. Okay, so it says that she inherits from tribes, meaning father and mother. So you see that she inherits from the mother. And we say, well, if she inherits from the mother, so does the son, because the son also inherits from the mother, and the son even takes precedence. So we see that case. Now, the Gemara then tried to prove on yesterday's daf, how do we know that a husband inherits his wife? Does it say so beferish? So we said, according to the predominant opinion is, it says she'ero, which means his wife, he inherits from his wife. Yorash son inherits from her, even though that's not exactly the way the pasuk reads, but we darshan that way. Then we had another opinion of Bishmael that says, you know how you know that a husband inherits his wife? I'll tell you how. Because we have several psukim over here in Bamidbar Lamed Vav. One pasuk says, again, remember, after Bros were granted, they were granted the ability to get the bequeathment of their father, meaning even though there were no brothers, she had no brothers, they still get the inheritance. But we want the inheritance to stay within the tribe. They were from the tribe of Yosef. We want them to stay in that tribe, so they should only marry men within their own tribe. Okay, with me so far, remember, that's what the pasuk says. Otherwise, if they marry somebody from another tribe, so they're inheriting from their father, who's from Yosef. And let's say they marry somebody from Zvulun, then it's going to go to Zvulun. Okay, how will it go to Zvulun when they marry somebody from another tribe? Let's say these Bnei Slafcha came from Yosef, right? And they have this share, this inheritance. It says, don't marry somebody from another tribe. Don't marry from Zvulun. Because if you marry somebody from Zvulun, then your inheritance, which was from Yosef's tribe, will go over to Zvulun. How will it go to Zvulun? It'll go to Zvulun either via their, if she dies, who inherits her, the husband or the son? So we tried to prove it that proves that the husband gets it. That's what it says. How will it go? How do you know that the husband inherits his wife? Because otherwise, why will it go to? Why will the estate be transferred from Yosef to Zvulun unless the husband inherits his wife? That's what the Gemara tried to prove. So it must be that it says don't let the inheritance transfer from one tribe to another. How will it be transferred if she marries somebody from? Because if she dies, the husband's going to inherit her. That's what we're assuming right now. But the Gemara is going to ask, how do you know it's transferred by the husband? Maybe it's transferred by the son. We already learned that a son inherits his mother, right? So if this mother who was from, let's say, in the case of Slavcha, they were from Yosef, they marry Zvulun, and they die, the husband's going to get it. How do you know the husband's going to get it? Maybe the son's going to get it. Maybe it'll be transferred to the son. Whose tribe is the son from? Same as her husband. You always go according to the father, right? The son goes according to the father. Even the daughter is from they have a child, also goes according to the father. So how do you know it'll be transferred? How does that prove that the husband inherits his wife? Because say, don't let it get transferred. If you marry Zvulun, it'll get transferred. How will it get transferred? Because the husband's going to inherit you, or because your son, who is the son of your husband, also will inherit you? That's going to be the question. But first, okay, different. Good. I'll tell you the difference. It doesn't make any difference. You're right. It's going to be transferred either way. Listen carefully. But we no longer have proof that the husband inherits his wife because maybe it's the son. The son we know because the pasuk says the daughter inherits her mother because she comes from two tribes, and we said the son is no different, right? But we're trying to prove on yesterday's daf that the husband inherits his wife. So one proof is V'yara Shosah and Sheiro and those weird that which is really what we come out with. That's pretty much what it is. But Rabbi Shmuel says no. I got a pasuk. Pasuk says if she's from Yosef, she should marry Zvulun because it's going to get transferred. How's it going to get transferred? Because if she dies, the husband's going to inherit it. That's what we're assuming. I already told you the question. Then he brings down not only she should marry somebody from her own tribe, which is like a mitzvah say. It also says twice below sasu below tiso nachlo b'nei Yisrael mata. Don't let it get transferred. And then it says again, lo tisav nachlo mata mata acher. Pasuk Zion and Pasuk Yes. In between, there's the Pasuk called Basi Rashis Menachem Israel. She should marry somebody from father. It seems to be repetitive. And it says, Lotis, otherwise it'll get transferred. Don't let it get transferred. Don't let it get transferred. Those are the Pasukim that we brought down at the end of yesterday's daf. Then we said, there's another Pasuk. What are the Pasuk? When Elazar, we know Aaron was the Kohen, the first Kohen, Aaron, Moshe's brother, right? Moshe's older brother was Aaron. His son was Elazar, right? Elazar, Itamar, Nadav, Navi, right? Okay. Then we had, who was his son? Pinchas. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aharon HaKohen, right? Pinchas. Now it says in the pasuk in Yoshua, when Elazar died, they buried him in the estate of Pinchas. What do you mean the estate of Pinchas? Pinchas gets everything from his father. They were Kohanim, whatever they had, right? So why did he call it the estate of Pinchas? It's really the estate, his own estate. He buried him in his own estate. How did Pinchas have an estate that his father did not have? He called it the estate of Pinchas. It must be that Pinchas married somebody from another tribe, right? And she died, and he inherited her. There's another proof that a husband inherits his wife. All this is not going to stand as good proof, right? Okay, what do we say? Elazar died, and Pinchas, his son, buried him in Pinchas's estate. What do you mean Pinchas's estate? Wouldn't it be Elazar's estate? Doesn't he get everything from his father? No, must be that Pinchas married another woman, somebody from a different tribe, and she died, and he inherited that. Shows again that the husband inherits his wife. Again, it's not going to be a proof. Why? Because maybe it was from a son, not from that. We'll see. Maybe Elazar married somebody, right? And they inherited, and Pinchas inherited. Pinchas was their son, right? Pinchas ben Elazar, and he inherited from his mother. Because again, we've already proven that a son inherits from his mother, just like a daughter. That's for sure. We're trying to prove does a husband inherit from his wife. We're going to come out that husband doesn't inherit from his wife. That's the halacha. In fact, he takes precedence over the children. I told you cases that I know where there are family fights over this stuff. This is a big issue. Big issue. That's why you better have a will. Better have a will at Savah, right? Okay. So then we had that pasuk of Pinchas Elazar. Then he said another pasuk. Skuv gave birth to Yair, pasuk in Daf Yomi, and Yair had 23 cities. He was a real rich guy, right? How did he have all those? How did Yair have all those cities if he didn't get it from his father? Must be that he married a woman and he inherited her. So all these psukim seem to indicate, that's Rabbi Shmuel, we have 5 psukim over here indicating that a husband inherits his wife. Says the Gemara, this is where we're up to yesterday. On the second line on Kufiyat Beis Aleph. My bummer, what's all these psukim over here? What are all these psukim? Maybe we're talking about when the pasuk says don't let it get transferred, not because it got transferred, because if the woman marries somebody from another tribe, it's going to go to her new husband it's going to go to her husband when she dies, and therefore it'll get transferred, let's say from Yosef to Zvulun or Shimon to Ruvain, whatever it was. No, maybe it's because it'll get transferred by the son. Because we already know that a son inherits his mother. In other words, we're saying that if a woman has an inheritance, if a woman, right, is from one tribe and she has an inheritance, how would she have an inheritance? She had no brothers, right? Her parents died. She was the only daughter. Let's say she was a lone daughter, right? She inherited from her parents, her father and her mother. Listen carefully. So if she marries somebody from another tribe, it'll go to the other tribe, right? How will it go to the other tribe? Via her husband, because her husband inherits her. Who says? Maybe it's via her son, right? Who's also from the other tribe. She marries somebody from another tribe from Zvulun. Her husband's from Zvulun, and her son's going to be from Zvulun, right? The son that she's going to have. So maybe it's via the son. So it's no proof that a husband inherits his wife. Maybe when the pasuk says don't marry from another tribe because your inheritance will get transferred to the other tribe, it's not via the husband. that you're marrying, but it's via the son you're going to have from that husband. Maybe that's what it means. So it's no proof that a husband inherits his wife. We're talking about a son inheriting his mother. But a husband does not inherit his wife. Maybe a husband doesn't inherit his wife at all. A son inherits his wife. It'll get transferred by the son. So therefore the first pasuk is not such a good proof. It says, Kol ba'ash nachzon to Israel, right? She should marry somebody from her own tribe, because otherwise it might get transferred, not by the husband, by the son. So if that's it, so that's why the first pasuk maybe not teaching me anything. Tashma. So we have a second pasuk. So maybe that pasuk's also talking about. The pasuk says, don't let it get transferred. How do you know it means transferred via the husband? Maybe it's via the son from that husband.
No son.
Yeah.
There's no son.
Yeah. The daughter. The daughter's also from the husband's tribe. Okay, if you're a Yisrael, right, and your son is a Yisrael, and your daughter's a Yisrael too, Yisraelis also. If you're a Kohen, she's a Bas Kohen. Now she doesn't get an Aliyah, doesn't serve in the Beis Hamikdash, but she could eat Truma. She's a Bas Kohen, right? She has the rules of a Bas Kohen in terms of, Pidyon Haben don't apply and all. She's a Bas Kohen. The daughter is the same tribe as her father.
Another tribe.
Right.
And had no children.
Right.
The husband would inherit.
That's the halacha, but we don't know. We're looking for proof. How do you know the husband inherits her? Her parents, her family, goes to her father, like we had by the son. Let's say a man dies with no children and no spouse. Oh well, doesn't go to spouse anymore. Who does it go to? His father. His father's dead. His father's brother. And after that, the father's brother's kids, etc., etc. So there's other places. We're trying to prove that is the halacha. The husband inherits her. In fact, the husband comes before anybody else. That's the halacha, right? That's the halacha. But we're trying to prove that. How do we know that? So we had the proof yesterday from Shiur and Yara Shosa. That was the first opinion in the Gemara. Right, Michael, you said that was Rav and Abai and Rav Tritzachi. Yeah. Okay, that was them. Rabbi Shmuel says, no, you learn it from these psukim about how is it going to be transferred? It must be transferred by the husband. Doesn't say husband, doesn't say son. It says, don't let it be transferred. How do you know it can be transferred by the husband? Maybe the husband does not inherit her. It gets transferred by the husband's child, who's also her child. And her child inherits her. So he said, okay, so we got another pasuk. Okay, so maybe the second pasuk, okay, very good. The first pasuk says, marry somebody from your own tribe, meaning don't marry somebody from another tribe. That's an asay. Then a pasuk says, don't let it get transferred. That's a los asay. So maybe it's telling you that if you marry somebody from another tribe, you're over an asay and a los asay. So I got a third pasuk, right? Remember, there's 5 psukim that he quotes, right? First pasuk, kol basi reshes, then lo tisav, then the story of Pinchas, then the story of Skuv and Yair. You got 5 psukim. So got a third pasuk telling me also, don't let it get transferred. Must mean by the husband. We already have a pasuk, an asay and a los asay, and even if you want to say those are both speaking about the son being inheriting, or the daughter, another tribe is the husband. We got another third pasuk. Maybe it's telling you that if you marry somebody from another tribe, you're over on 2 los asays and an asay. But again, how would it get transferred? By the son, not by the husband. We don't know. This is not proof that the husband inherits his wife. So Tashma v'lez ben Aaron a kohen meis. Lez ben Aaron. Why do we have that pasuk for? What did that teach me? Right? What did we have that pasuk? What is that pasuk? Why do I have that? What is that teaching me? It must teaching me that the husband inherits. Like we said, maybe Pinchas married a woman, he inherited her, and that's how he has a big place to bury his father. Not that Pinchas married somebody and inherited her, and therefore that's how Pinchas came into land that his father did not own. Maybe Elazar himself was the one who married somebody, right? And he married this woman, and when the woman died, who inherited her? We don't have proof this is. Who? Pinchas. Pinchas himself. He's the son. Umeisa v'yarsa Pinchas. So maybe, again, even the fourth pasuk is not proof that the husband inherits his wife. Tashma, uskuv holeres Yair. We got another pasuk. What is that pasuk for? Maybe that's the same place where what? Where Skuv married somebody else, married a woman from another tribe, and Yair inherited her, right? What do I need to pasuk for? Why do I have to tell me that both Pinchas buried his father in his estate, and Yair buried his father in his estate, or Yair had all this other property, lovely. Okay, so that's what you want to say. That's what you want to say, and that must be proof. The last pasuk must be proof that the husband inherits his wife. Otherwise, what's the point of that pasuk? How do you know, B'chla, we're talking about inheritance over here? These last two stories. Okay, I understand the first three psukim in Bamidbar are teaching me don't let it get transferred, right? And we assume don't let it get transferred by the husband. Maybe it's transferred by the son. Okay, so we have these other stories, the story of Pinchas and the story of Yair. Okay, how do you know, B'chla, those talking about Yerushas? Maybe Pinchas bought some land. Elazar died, right? Elazar died, and Pinchas wanted to bury his father. His father didn't leave. He hadn't bought any place in Har Menuchos or Har Zaysim or anything. And Pinchas had bought some land, so he buried him in his father. Maybe that was the case. Right? Maybe I'll tell you, a husband does not inherit his wife. You can't prove anything. You're right. The son, and the first psukim that we talked about, the psukim of Lotiso, is talking about where the son inherits. We get transferred by the son, not by the husband. The Yair Dezav Mizvan. Yair bought some land. They came into some money, they went collecting, and they came up with some money and they bought some land. You say, how did Pinchas have land that his father didn't have? He bought it. How did you get a house? Your father bought you your house? No, you bought it. You worked hard and you bought your house or whatever. So maybe the story with Yair and Pinchas, there's two stories are that they bought the land. What's the proof over here that they inherited the land from their mother or their husband? What's going on over here? Or their wife? Amalei Pinchas, Amalei. So you answer them. So Rav Papa said, Tobaye, maybe they bought the land. Amalei Pinchas is of Mizvah. You can't say Pinchas is of Mizvah and Lamatzam. You can't say that Pinchas bought the land. You know why? Huh?
He has no money.
Oh, he had no money. Okay, well, he came into some money. Okay, maybe his wife had, that's what maybe he married her for money. You know why? But if he bought the land, what happens at Yovel? The land goes back to the owners. Would he bury his father in a piece of land that's going to go back to somebody else? You want him buried in the family plot before they had these big cemeteries, right? He says, he can't say that. The field would go back in Yovel. We go back in Yovel. So he wouldn't have done that. But him to tzaddik cover bekever shem shlo. So it comes out that tzaddik Elazar would be buried in somebody else's property. Right? That's an interesting thing, The field goes back in Yovel. You got to take the graves with it, right? So you can't say that Ella Ema Denafla Misadachem. It must be that it fell to him from a sada, that he got as a gift as a Kohen, which he's entitled to keep, which doesn't go back in Yovel. Okay, but the point. Yeah, or if it wasn't redeemed, Rashbam brings that also. Or if it field that was mukdash aidei somebody else and it wasn't redeemed, and then it goes to the Kohen Yov. Okay, fine. So he got the field legitimately, but the point is that it wasn't an inheritance. He doesn't even bring down the story with Skub and Yair with Yovel how he got the field. Maybe that was speaking about when Yovel was not Noeg anymore. It's a later thing in Nach, right? So maybe there was no. Why does the Gemara doesn't address the issue of if Yair bought the field? The truth is, he's not talking about a burial there at all. All it talks about is that Yair had many fields. He doesn't talk about burying his father. You understand? Uskuf holides Yair. He had a lot of land. We're not even talking about burial of it. You don't have to go into the whole issue of Yovel. Whatever else, he bought some land. Whatever, went back. We don't care about that. The question is, how did he get the land? Maybe he bought the land. He came into some money. We're not talking about Yerusha there. Okay. So, it's at the end of the day, I'm going to buy it. So what have we said here? We've sort of disproved that these psukim are not proof that a husband inherits his wife. Because it could be that the son is inheriting his wife. If you marry somebody from another tribe, not that your husband will inherit you, Mrs. Lady, but your child will inherit you, and he's from another tribe because he goes according to the tribe of his father. Amar Abaya, now we get to the tough part. Amar Abaya, sof, what are we talking about over here? We're saying a woman. How do we know that a woman inherits her mother? Because we said the pasuk says, "Kolbas yoreshes nachla mimatos bnei Yisrael." She inherits a nachla from two tribes, right? Her father, let's say, was Reuben. Her mother was Shimon. Okay, if she inherits a tribe, she inherits, right? Shows you that she inherits from her mother. And from there we extrapolate, we said, based on Homer, that the son also inherits. That's how we know that a daughter and a son inherit from their mother. Of course, at La Halacha, at the end of the day, I think we come out that the husband comes first, but we don't know that from these psukim. So Abaya says, okay, granted, granted, you're saying this is not a real proof that these are not proofs that the husband inherits, because it could be it's the son who's inheriting, but still the field's going to get transferred. We're talking about a case where the pasuk says the woman has inheriting from two tribes. It means her father's, let's say, Reuben, and mother Shimon, right? Either way, whether it's the husband who inherits her or her son inherits, it's still going to get transferred because her mother's Yerusha is from Shimon. And who is her son? Reuben. Well, her son is Reuben, right? Her son is Reuben. Let's say she marries, you say she's supposed to marry not somebody from Zvulun, let her marry somebody from her father's tribe, from Reuben, right? But it's still going to get transferred. Because when she marries somebody from her father's tribe, from Reuben, it's going to go either to her husband, Reuben, or her son from Reuben. Either way, it's going to get transferred from her mother's share, Shimon, because her mother's from Shimon, to Reuben. So Rabbi self-self Masakra Nachem Shifted the email, the Shifted Dab. It's going to go from the Shevet of her mother to the Shevet of her father. Even if she marries somebody, self-self, what's the difference if it gets transferred by the husband or by the son? It's still going to be transferred. How do you solve that? Umimais is more of the Dilma shiny husband shikaros, but it's different. We're talking about a woman who already had parents, who already had parents. Now, Lamaisa, this rule about not marrying from another tribe doesn't apply today, and it didn't even. So we'll see later on. It only applied maybe in that one generation of the Midbar when they came here. So
was Shevet.
The idea in the Chumash was
that
the idea of Shevet's Nachala.
That's true. That's right. That's right. But later on, that rule was only it was like a temporary one-time rule. But in any case, we'll talk about that rule. It says you shouldn't be transferred from one Shevet to another Shevet. Then that's different because we're talking about a case where she already had two parents, one from Reuben, one from Shimon. The father was Reuben, the mother was Shimon. So it's bound to be transferred anyway. Because whoever she marries, right, even if she marries somebody from her father's own tribe, marries somebody from her own tribe, she's this daughter. What is her halacha which tribe is she from? Reuben, same as her father, right? But her mother's from Shimon. So when she inherits her mother, because we said she inherits her mother, she's an only daughter, right? An only daughter. She inherits her father and her mother. So if her mother had an estate, you said, yes, how does her mother understand? Mother had an estate. She got some Yerusha, whatever it was. She got some Yerusha. There was no father, let's say. Either way, she gets the Yerusha from her mother. It's going to be transferred to her father. Zimar said, well, maybe that's different because it was already done. In other words, there's nothing you could do about that. It was already shekvarus, but it was already transferred. The Dilma says the Gemara. The Dilma says more. The Dilma shekvarus v'lo. And that's not an answer. Right? Rashbam explains that what's the question over here when it says don't transfer, shouldn't be transferred. Are we talking about only transferring the father's estate? What about the mother's? In other words, what happens? If she's from Reuben, her father's from Reuben, her mother's from Shimon, don't marry somebody from Zvulun. You know why? Because if you have a Yerusha from your father, that's Reuben, you're the woman, you're an only daughter. You're going to inherit. If you marry somebody from Zvulun, Zvulun's going to get it, right? The tribe of Zvulun's going to get it, either by the husband or by the son, right? So that's what the pasuk is talking about. What about the mothers? What about the from Shimon when it says don't transfer? You don't want to get transferred from Shevet. Oh, we're going to talk about the issur of transferring the father's tribe's inheritance to another, or the mother's also. That's the issue. That's what he says. Either way, that was a biased question. We shifted the maybe there we say that was already done, and we're not concerned about the mothers. Maybe we say we're not concerned about that. Then as a bias retorting, no, that's not an answer. You still can't transfer the mother or the. Not only you cannot transfer. You can't marry somebody not from your father's tribe and not from your mother's tribe. In other words, so how are you going to solve that? If you can't marry somebody, you can only marry somebody from your father's tribe. But if your father's tribe is different from your mother's tribe, so either way, it's going to get transferred. That was the question Abaya said. Even if you marry somebody from your father's own tribe, your mother's share is still going to get transferred. It says maybe that's different because it's already done. We're not concerned about the mothers. We don't say that. You got to be concerned about that too, the mothers or the fathers. No. Yeah, but if you say, listen, that was transferred, whether it gets transferred by the son or the husband, we don't know which one, right? We said the pasuk from the psukim, you can't prove that it's the husband inherits, that it's being transferred by the husband. Maybe it's being transferred by the husband's son, which is your son too. So if you say once what's done already there, we're not concerned about the mothers. That's done. So then you can understand the pasuk says whether the pasuk says don't marry outside of the tribe, whether it's because you transfer by the son or by the husband. Eliyam lo amin shekvar husband. You don't say that shekvar husband, meaning you're transferring. Whatever you don't say that since it was done already by the mother. In other words, since this woman had parents from two different tribes, Reuben and Shimon, you're not concerned. Lo amin and shekvar. You don't say that, and you still say that's not an answer. In other words, in this case, this woman already had a father from Reuben and a mother from Shimon. But does that mean that in the future we also are makbid that she can't transfer her mother's share to somebody else? This woman has no choice. She was already born. She's an only child. Her mother's from Reuben and father's from Shimon. Father's from Reuben and mother's from Shimon, right? So whoever she marries, the chorah, is going to be too bad, right? The mother's share is going to get, if she marries somebody from her father's tribe, so her mother's estate is going to be transferred. If she marries somebody from her mother's tribe, the father's estate will be transferred. So there's no choice. But does that mean in the future also we are not concerned about the mother's estate being transferred? We're only concerned about the father's. You have to marry somebody with your father's in your father's tribe. We're not concerned about your mother's tribe because what are you going to do? So he says again, that what? Okay, you can't. Don't worry about that. Whoever she marries. You can explain the pasuk either if she marries somebody from another tribe, she's from Reuben, and she marries somebody from Zvulun, so her Reuben's estate will be transferred via the son or via the husband. We don't know which one. Eliyam lo amin shekvar. You don't say that, meaning you can't allow her to marry anybody whereby her father's estate will be transferred or her mother's estate will be transferred. So what if she marries somebody from Reuben's tribe? There still is a problem for the Hamasakra Nachal Mishifta, the Ema Shifta Daba. You still got to get transferred. You see, this woman has a mother, again, the father from Reuben, the mother from Shimon. So you say she has to marry somebody from Reuben's tribe, otherwise it's going to be transfer. There's going to be a transfer. What do you mean? Even if she marries somebody from Reuben's tribe, her mother's estate's going to be transferred from Shimon to Reuben, right? It's going to be transferred because she inherits from her mother. What can you do? So therefore, you must say, said Ravashi, if you so Elamai must be you don't care about the mother's estate. You don't care if the mother's estate gets transferred. So the answer is no. It's possible. She marries somebody just like her, meaning you marry somebody whose father is from Reuben and mother's from Shimon. So again, will it even if so? Whether the husband or the child, they have the same status. The husband has a status that it's better this way than the son. There's more of a proof that the husband inherits her because what can the pasuk mean? We don't want it to be transferred. You can't take it transfer away. He says, listen, it is possible that even though her father's from Reuben and mother's from Shimon, she can marry somebody where it won't be transferred. How? She marries her husband, who's also from Reuben and Shimon, the same way, father from Reuben, mother from Shimon. So if she dies and her husband inherits her, so what? It's the same thing. She hasn't transferred anything. She is from Reuben and Shimon, and her husband's from Reuben and Shimon. This is more of a proof that the husband does inherit it, right? That the husband inherits her, because if the husband doesn't inherit the son is not from Reuben and Shimon. The son is from Reuben, right? The son that she has is Reuben's son, but the husband is from Reuben and Shimon. You understand? The husband's from Reuben and Shimon. So therefore, it is somewhat of a proof that the husband inherits her, but it's a complicated case. You're saying that it's possible that the pasuk is makbid, that if she came from two tribes, as the pasuk indicates, matos means she came from two tribes. She has to marry also somebody just like that, so that if she dies and he inherits her, nothing is transferred because she's from Reuben and Shimon, so is her husband from Reuben and Shimon. Even though it goes according to the husband, it'll eventually go according to the husband, but the husband has the same status as the mother. So maybe that's what the pasuk means. Says the Gemara, okay, but it's still not a solid proof. So the halacha, I think we pass him based on the Yorash Asar and She'ero, because these psukim could be talking about. Right. So the Gemara says that's right. That's why he had to switch around the words. The Gemara says, "Ihachi." Wait a minute. So if you're saying, according to what Abai is now saying, that it's talking about, you're not allowed to transfer even the mother's estate. and you can't transfer the mother's estate either. So if your mother's from one estate, from one tribe, and your father's from another, you got to marry somebody in the same way. If that's the case, the pasuk says, who should she marry? The pasuk says, she should marry somebody from her father's tribe. Why do you say from the father's tribe? It should say from the father and the mother. That's what it should say. It should, if that's what you mean, that if she came from two tribes, she must marry somebody exactly like that. So let it say she should marry somebody from her father and mother's tribe. It says iksiv. If it would say that way, I would think you could do it the other way around too. Her father is from Reuben, mother's from Shimon. If it would say she should marry somebody like from the tribe of her father and mother, you might say it's the other way around too. She can marry somebody whose father is from Shimon and mother's from Reuben. So therefore, he says no. The main thing is the father. Go with the father, but it means that too. Kamashmon, you don't say that. Okay. Tanya b'siba saben. Tanya thinks about. Now we've said clearly that the son inherits the mother, and the husband also inherits his wife, right? But these psukim are not so strongly weak. It's a very weak proof, these psukim, because these psukim could be talking about the son inheriting his wife. Again, don't marry from another tribe, because if you marry from another tribe, the son will go according to your new husband, and that's going to be, they'll be transferred there. See him. Tanya b'sibas haben, Tanya b'sibas habal. Now we have two brises. Both talk about that the son can inherit, it'll be transferred by the son or by the husband. Takes out the next words Tanya b'sibas haben, because both brises are the same. It's just dealing with the two psukim. What I mean, in Perek Lamed Vav, when it talks about this, that both stuff that should marry somebody from their own tribe. Okay, it's besides Kol Basi Reshes Nachem Matos Bnei Yisrael that we learned from there that a daughter and therefore a son also inherit from the mother. They should marry somebody from the father's tribe. And we're saying, according to Abaye, maybe the father and the mother if they came from two different tribes. But the pasuk Zion and Tes, which surround pasuk Ches, one pasuk is Lotisav Nachla the Bnei Yisrael Mimatel Mata shouldn't be transferred. But Lotisav Nachla Mimatel Mata Acher Kish Nachal Seid Baku. Both psukim are very similar, except the second pasuk uses the word Acher, and it talks Yitbiku Matos Bnei Yisrael. First pasuk says Mimatel Mata. It doesn't say Matos. So the Gemara, these two brises deal with that. What do the brises say? Back in the Gemara, in the fifth line of the Gemara. That's the first pasuk, right? Talking about the son being transferred by the son. Again, if you marry somebody from another tribe, your son will be according to the tribe of your husband, and if he inherits you, your state will go from the tribe of Shimon, let's say, to the tribe of Zvulun. Okay. Is that pasuk really speaking about Tibas? Oh, I know about maybe it's going to be transferred by the husband. Again, either way, if she dies, if the husband inherits her or the son inherits her, if the son and therefore the father and therefore the son are from another tribe, her estate will get transferred, right? When it says the second pasuk, the second pasuk is talking about the husband, it's transferred by the husband. Hamani Makayim. Therefore, when it says Lasisam Nachal Yisrael, the first pasuk be Mata Mata B'Sibas Med. So the first pasuk 9, speaking about the son being transferred, Kasam Daber, and the second pasuk we're talking about the husband being transferred. So again, we have a brisa which does indicate, not like we said. We asked in the Gemara, what are all these psukim for? What do you need psukim for? They don't prove that the husband inherits. It doesn't say anything about the husband. It just says don't transfer. Maybe it'll be transferred by the son. We don't know. Yet these brises do indicate that as proof, because these brises say there's two psukim here. Lo tisav in pasuk zayin, lo tisav in pasuk tes. Why do I have two psukim for? One's talking about transfer buying a son, one's transfer by a husband, meaning that this is proof, basically, is this according to the Shita, Shmuel, that the husband inherits his wife and he comes first. If there's no husband, then the son or the daughter can inherit. Then we have the second brisa, Tanya Idach on Kufiyat Gimel Amar Aleph. We're talking about the husband. Now, this pasuk is it's two different brises, but they're both really saying the same thing. Except, what do you start with? Do you start with pasuk Zion, talking about Sibas Haben, when it's transferred by the son? Pasuk Tes is the husband. So the first pasuk said, the first brisa said that's talking about pasuk Zion, talking about Sibas Haben. How do we know? Because if it's Siva Sabal, that's already Pasuk Tes. Now we're just doing the same thing in reverse. The second bride says, we're talking about Pasuk Tes. We're talking about the husband. We're talking about being transferred by the husband. How do you know? How do you know pasuk test about the husband? Because we already had a pasuk zayin. The first pasuk zayin is hareisi b'sben. Second pasuk is ben. Hamani mekayim lo tis of nachlin matal mata. So what is the second pasuk of pasuk test referring to? Both brises are saying the same thing. They're just starting from a different point. One pasuk says, "What's Zion talking about?" That's a ben. How do you know? Because test is talking about Baal. The second bride says, "But the test is talking about Baal." How do you know? Because Zion's already talking about the son. Both of them are saying the same thing. The Kuli Almami, as the Gemara says, everybody agrees that the second pasuk, pasuk test, which talks about mata lamata acher, b'siba sabal, because about the husband, my mashma. How do you know? Neither one mentions son. Neither one mentions husband. It just says don't marry another tribe because then the Yerusha will get transferred, the heirs will get transferred to another tribe. Via how? The son or the father? So both brises agree that the first pasuk is talking about via son. Maybe the first brise, maybe the first pasuk is not telling you that the father inherits, that the husband inherits, but rather the son inherits. And the second pasuk is here by the husband. So we'll see. We'll talk about that. We'll get to that. But all we know is that the husband is there because don't forget the husband has nothing to do with her children. The husband is not necessarily the father of the children. So it's not like they're in order here. They're going. You're talking about the husband is one thing, the children are something else, not necessarily related. They could be related. They could be the husband could be the father of the children, but not necessarily. When we say the husband inherits first, meaning the husband, regardless of what the children status is, whether they are children of that husband or not. But we'll talk about that later on. We'll see the order of it later on in the next Mishnah. My mashma. So he said everybody agrees that the second pasuk that talks about mimata lamata acher is speaking about the husband inheriting the wife. How do you see that? So Simon, now the Bach, if you look in the first line of the top line of the Bach, what is that Simon? It's like Simon, Amar Rav Shila. That was the name of Amora. He says that's an Amora whose name was Simon or Simon. We'll come to another shot in a minute. Simon Amar Rav Shila. Amar Kadapa says Ish. It says Ish. Ish is probably the husband. It says Tavayrish, but it says in both psukim it says the word Ish. Right? First place says El Mata Ki Ish Benachos Mato. Second pasuk also talks about Ish. Yidbeku, talking about cleaving or attaching. That everybody should stay attached. Each field should be inherited, should stay attached to the tribe. Right? Every Ki Ish Benachos Mate Abosa, in the tribe of his father, Yidbeku Ben Israel. Everybody should stay in their own tribe. Because above these are obvious questions, but he's just going through to show you everything. Yidbeku Tavayi, because both of them say Yidbeku. So how do you know that Zion is the son and Tess is the husband? Yidbeku Matos. The second pasuk says Yidbeku Matos talks about the tribes. That means that the husband is the one who's dealing with the tribes. He's the father, as I say the father, but Matos refers to Yidbeku Matos refers more to the husband because the tribe goes according to the husband. Rashi Amar Merkah, the pasuk says Mimato Lamata Acher. The second pasuk says Lamato another tribe. Ben Lav Acher. If it goes to the son, that's not Acher. Just don't get transferred to the sons. Ben's not considered Acher. Acher is like the father. Acher is more like the father, not like the son. So another shot can be that name of Simon, right? Could be that it's really like Simon, like you say a Simon. What is a Simon? Omar, right? Like Simon Omar. Aleph, Mem, and Reish are the Simonim over here that we're dealing with. Meaning, one is Ish, right? He says, how do you know that the father? How do we know? Everybody agrees that the second pasuk is talking about the inheritance of the husband. How do you know? So he says Simon is Omar. Aleph is Ish. Mem is Matos, and Reish is Acher, let's say, something like that it's more of a sim, like we have in the Gemara, that you see sim in a bunch of letters are referring to the upcoming Gemara. That could be another pshat that the Mefarshim say. In any case, we see that the children inherit from the mother, and the husband as well inherits from his wife. As we said, the husband comes first. You asked we'll talk about that more later on, but the husband is not necessarily the father of the children. The husband, he could be the father of the children, could be not the father of the children. If he's the father of children and he inherits from his wife, and then he dies, and the children will inherit from him. All right, we'll talk about with tomorrow. We'll get more into the issue of tomorrow's more says when the husband inherits from his wife, does he also inherit the same way that a regular child inherits, or like a bechor that he doesn't get a share in what's roy b'muchzik? We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Call to.